Welcome to another segment of Stackin the Studs. I'm your host, Ben Gunna Dunna, the fantasy shot caller in the house with my main man, Tony Tucker from MJT Sports. How we doing? How we feeling? How we living today, baby?
He's a bad mother Tucker. Shut your mouth. I'm doing great. It's wonderful to be alive. Great family. Focus on all the things I can control, Ben, and that is not fantasy football, apparently.
Not fantasy football. It is. You can only do so much, and it's some weeks are tougher than others. Like this week was not out of my 12 leagues. I did not have a positive margin, but that's all right because about 4 of them are dynasty, and I'm kind of in a rebuilding phase of a couple of them, so I'm not really too worried about that. But yeah, I think maybe we just hop on that QB stack. Let's show them who we got. At number 1 is going to be Jalen Hurts playing against that shitty Cardinals defense. Josh Allen against the Steelers. Lamar Jackson versus the Bengals. Patty Mahomes against the Raiders. And Justin Herbert playing the Browns. What do you think of this top 5 there, Tone?
This all looks great. I would put Patrick Mahomes as like 1A right behind Hurts. I really do think Jalen Hurts is a great, if you play Jalen Hurts in this week, anticipate 35 to 40 points, depending on your scoring. Like that's the kind of week. I failed to get Jalen Hurts. Everybody in all the mocks was letting him go in the 6th round, and then all of a sudden draft day came, and people were taking him in the early part of the 5th, and I missed out. Herbert with the Browns, this could also be a nice week. I'm reading some positive things about Keenan Allen, so I feel great about the top 5 and the matchups they have.
100%. And remember last week, these next 5 highlighted by the GOAT, Tom Brady. We told you to play him last week. And what did he do? He scored 31 points. And thank you. And this episode is sponsored by Steel Pan Pizza in Colorado Springs. If you're in the neighborhood, come through and enjoy a nice slice of Detroit pizza pie, baby. So moving forward, Russell Wilson at 6, and then at 7, Joe Burrow at 8, Kyler Murray at 9, and number 10, Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Discounted Super Double Checked. Russell Wilson playing on a short week, playing the Colts. I think without Javonte Williams for the rest of the season, they're going to be passing the ball a lot more.
Yeah, I like Russ there in that spot. I think the one thing we're starting to see is more usage of the legs, which is what we've all been hoping for. Like, I mean, he doesn't need to be Russ year 2, year 3, but if we can get that, nice 30 yards a week of him scrambling and picking up those couple extra points, it would be nice. And then also we got to see the rushing touchdown. This is where it's like in this area, I'm a little worried about. I like Burrow against the Ravens. I like everybody against that Ravens secondary this year. But I'm a little worried about some of these other ones, like Kyler versus the Eagles. Like that could be a bloodbath. And I'm starting Kyler, and I'm thinking there's a couple other players down this list that might stream. But even like Rodgers versus the Giants, they've been pretty good against the pass this year. Yeah, I don't know. I get worried, which in the past I would have never thought that like some of these guys I would be worried this early on in the season that they're going to score touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm banking on Romeo Doubs having a 20-plus point game against the Giants. So that's why I have Aaron Rodgers so high. Yeah, like you said, agree 100%. If you have I don't know, Marcus Mariota playing the Ravens secondary, you got to put him in.
Yeah. It really doesn't matter. Like it feels like everybody's just putting up good numbers against the Ravens defense. Marcus Peters is trying to swing on folks on the sidelines. Like it's not getting better.
Moving on to 11 through 15, Jared Goff playing the Patriots had a wonderful game, even in the loss, playing the Seahawks. Matt Stafford playing the Cowboys. We were talking a little bit before the cast, and Matt Stafford, you got to throw the ball to someone else other than Cooper Kupp because you're going to keep losing games. You've lost what was it? 7 straight regular season matchups against the Niners? It's crazy.
Yeah, and not him personally, but Sean McVay.
No, Sean McVay and the Rams.
I mean, this is 3 in a row for Stafford here against them, and I think he had another game against them last year where he also didn't score a touchdown.
Yeah.
So that's 2 matchups where he's put up goose eggs against the Niners defense.
100%. And then at 13, we have Derek Carr playing the Chiefs. I think that one's going to be a shootout. Derek Carr is, I guess, maybe a little more motivated. I don't know. He didn't do anything for fantasy last week, which really sucked because it was Josh Jacobs' best game of his career ever in his life forever. And Kirk Cousins at 14 playing the Bears, and then a newcomer. And he was kind of highly touted last year, but it really fell off because he doesn't have many receivers. But you want to play anyone you can against the Commanders, and that's Ryan Tannehill at 15. A sneaky play, in my opinion.
I like it. And you put on here at 11 the guy that I'm thinking about streaming over Kyler this week, and that's Jared Goff. Because they're putting up points, and it doesn't even matter. They were missing – and I know they played the Seahawks, but they were missing Swift and they were missing Amon-Ra, and they still put 45 points on the board. And with the defense being as bad as it is, I'll take Jared Goff having to throw it a bunch of times against the Patriots defense. That's good, but I'm not terrified of them. I don't look at him and go, oh, well, Jared Goff couldn't throw 3 touchdowns against this team. Yeah, he could, especially if he has to. Why not? Yeah, I don't know. The Eagles defense just really scares me putting any of my quarterbacks against them because they just keep destroying. I had back-to-back weeks where I had Lawrence, and then the week before that I had Wentz. And it didn't matter who I put out there. They were all getting shredded. Yeah,
and, I mean, Darius Slay, we'll see if he plays this week. I think that's pretty impactful. But that it's not even really him. It's that rushing defense that is just been immaculate, just literally averaging 4.5, 5 sacks a game. Just crazy. Moving on, 16 through 20, we got Geno Smith playing the Saints, Trevor Lawrence, Carson Wentz playing the Titans. That's the only reason why Carson Wentz is in the top 20 because of the matchup. Matt Ryan playing the Broncos, and then newcomer, top 20, Zach Wilson playing the Dolphins. What do you think about 16 through 20? Any guys you think higher, maybe lower?
I think Zach Wilson should be going as Wayne Corbett for Halloween after that touchdown snag he had last weekend.
Right.
I was happy. I mentioned on the show last week that Zach Wilson was one of those players. If you had a Matthew Stafford, you should grab Zach Wilson and put him at the end of your bench because there just is a ton of talent on the offense of the Jets. And if they start letting him sling it a little bit to see, if daddy can cook, could be good news for him. I really like Trevor Lawrence also as a streamer this week against the Texans. I think that this could be a nice sort of, hey, we just got handled a little bit by the Eagles, but we really are more like the team that beat the Chargers and shut out the Colts. We're about that this year. We're winning the AFC South kind of business. So,
oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, if Matt Ryan, I'm not even sure. Matt Ryan wouldn't have made my list. He just looks completely lost in this. I don't know. I don't know if it's the offense. I don't know if it's the offensive line. I thought he would be so much better than he is this year.
Yeah, well, they haven't had consistent play with all the injuries they've sustained throughout the beginning of the season. And, maybe he turns it on. But, we won't know. And Broncos have a pretty good secondary. So we'll see how that moves forward. Moving on, 21 through 25, we got Cooper Rush playing the Rams, who's been a pleasant surprise for that Dallas Cowboys offense. Teddy Bridgewater playing the Jets. Jimmy Garoppolo against the Panthers. Davis Mills against the Jags. And the Rook, Kenny Pickett, playing the Bills. You excited to see Kenny Pickett play or don't care about him and his small-ass hands?
I don't care about him and his tiny digits. I'm more interested to see how the receivers react, because you throw a fit for one guy expecting that the other guy is going to be better. It's like,
yeah.
I'm not really sure that he's going to be that much of an upgrade. The player
this exact thing happened literally the same time frame last year with Andy Dalton and Justin Fields.
Yeah. You think that the unknown is going to be better, and it's not. Like, it almost would have been. It would have been better to just keep getting by and winning these 17-13 games for the team as a whole, I think. And I think eventually that's what we will see. Maybe Pickett's athleticism and confidence and everything else, because I think part of the reason that Mitch Trubisky isn't better is that he just doesn't have the confidence to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And again, not saying that I do, but if you're going to play that position, like, you have to think at a certain level of just like processing everything, but also like nobody else could do this job but me. And when I watch him play, I think he's like, oh man, I don't want to screw this up. I don't want to screw. You can't play quarterback like that. You have to play like, oh, I'm going to go take this from you because I'm the best. I just want to briefly say, Teddy Bridgewater, with all these weapons, he doesn't really have to do much to succeed against that Jets defense. Like, he really could just be getting some quick outs in there. And I don't know, can he underthrow some deep passes to Tyreek Hill?
I think so. I think that could happen.
Yeah, so I think he's a good streamer if you're in deeper leagues, 14, 16 team leagues.
Yeah, definitely for super flex reasons. Bye weeks are coming up. Week 6 is the first round of buys. So if you need to sub out Derek Carr for someone, unfortunately, but Teddy Bridgewater is a good stash right now. All righty, so moving on, the last two, Jacoby Brissett and Justin No Throwing Fields, they're kind of just at the bottom of the barrel here, and then I guess now we can move over to the running back room. So there's been a bit of a shakeup in the rankings. Saquon is number 1. King Henry playing the Commanders is 2. Austin Eckler playing the Browns is 3. Nick Chubb playing the Chargers is 4. And this is the biggest shakeup of them all, because if you have anyone, and I mean everyone, listen here, listen right here. Are you listening? Anyone playing the Texans, anyone at all, they need to be in your top 5. And that's James Robinson this week. He's going to finish as a top 5 running back in week 5.
I'm a big fan of this, moving James Robinson up here. I am going to start him in the 2 leagues that I have him. I'm going to feel really good, really confident about it. The Chargers' rushing attack has been awful this season, and they were able to get something going in a positive direction last week. Granted, that was Austin Eckler, and it was nice to see them finally give the football to him, but that's another show where I will bellyache about the Chargers, in case you didn't notice. I want to say this, though. It was a lot of people out there. And here's the thing. You go after a guy like Derrick Henry when he has a couple bad weeks to start the year, and everybody was like, he doesn't have any juice, he doesn't have any juice. But nobody would trade him to me. Nobody was giving up on him after 2 weeks when I was giving like fairly good offers. Like, I'll give you my best player, or I'll give you – a 2-for-1. What are you looking for? You don't like him so much. None of those people traded, and now they're all like, I knew it. You didn't know shit. You were panicking.
Yeah, nothing.
He's still that dude.
It's crazy. I mean, I told everyone, like, he's just coming off a big injury that ended his season last year. If they're going to win games, they're going to run the ball through Derrick Henry. Like, that's it. And what do you know? They won back-to-back games, and Derrick Henry has scored over 20 points in each game. So it's common sense, people. Common sense will dictate.
He's showing juice. It's not like watching Zeke, where you're like, this guy's clearly cashed. He's a short yardage, goal line type back at this point. There's just no burst left there.
6 through 10, CMC, Playoff Lenny, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, and Alvin Kamara if he playing the Seahawks. CMC could be even lower because the 49ers defense is just something out of this world for stopping the fantasy run, catch, pass, shoot, layup, three-pointer, free throw, hole-in-one, home run. It doesn't matter. The 49ers will stop it. So CMC could move down this list out of the top 10. And if you're a CMC owner, I don't only smell pizza right now. I smell an injury coming. So trade his ass right now. Yeah.
I only have him in one league, and I'm gonna have CMC till the bitter end. I do think he should be a little bit lower because their defense is like the Secret Service. Like they just take out everything. They should all just come to the game in like black, tuck style hitman suits because they're just killers. Joe Mixon, if they give you 5 carries inside the 2-yard line, please
you better fucking score.
Yes.
Score.
Get your backside in there. And then lastly on this top 10, Alvin Kamara. They need to start getting him going in the passing game again. And I was a little encouraged to see that Latavius Murray is now out of the mix there. It's a little bit more where it's like, hey, one less person to be put on the field and making it a cloudy situation. Let's get Kamara involved in the passing game and let's win some games. I picked the Saints to win the South. It is still doable. You are not that far behind, and the Bucs are showing there's blood in the water. Take this division, Saints.
Yeah, and it's just I don't even know how that happened. The last thing I knew, like Latavius Murray was running the ball like for a 15-yard gang, and the next, like he's on a plane to Denver.
Yeah.
So that was a bit confusing. But yeah, AK needs to show up as long as he's healthy. And he's definitely a buy low candidate. Going forward, Naji Harris at 11. Ramondre playing the Lions. That is a great matchup. And his snap share percentage has gone up more and more consistently every single game. So Ramondre season is just around the corner at 13. Jeff Wilson Jr. against the Panthers. Last week, we saw what Kyler did because he's the number 1 running back on that Cardinals team. So Kyler really was able to run that ball throughout the Panthers defense. And then Mr. Disappointing, Dalvin Cook at 14 playing the Bears. And then a newcomer to the top 15. His snap share has been going up too. He's also in the AFC East, but he plays for the New York Jets, and that's Breece Hall at 15 playing the Dolphins.
Yeah, I would actually have Breece a little bit higher. I like him a lot this week. And I'm going to say this right now. Ramondre Stevenson is going to finish inside the top 5. He's got a great matchup. I think he'll maximize his carries. And on top of that, the easy passing game, either with Hoyer or with Billy Zappi, is going to be there for him. I think Stevenson, he could have a week. He could have a week where you put him in at RB2 or flex, and you're all of a sudden looking at winning some games. What's going on, Albert?
What's up, Albies? How we doing? If you have questions about the waiver wire or where we're ranking these players, we're on running backs right now, so throw it in that chat, baby. All right, moving forward at 16, Miles Sanders, J.K. Dobbins, Josh Jacobs, Melvin Gordon at 19, and Khalil Herbert at 20. Tougher matchups. Josh Jacobs doesn't really like playing the Chiefs. J.K. Dobbins, had a great week last week, and it could continue. It could not. The Bengals have kind of been hit or miss with their play on the defensive side of the ball, which kind of mimics what they're doing on offense. So could be higher, could be lower. Melvin Gordon, I just want to say something that Nathaniel Hackett, I don't care if he fumbled the ball to Mars. If you want to win that game, you put him in. You don't leave it to some dude named Boone that's going to drop 7 passes in a row that'll lose you the game. Like, I don't care. Nathaniel Hackett lost another game for the Denver Broncos this past week.
Nate Hackett taking some smoke this season. Not sure that he makes it to year 2 with the new regime in Denver. Let me just say this. Miles Sanders, I'm sorry. I missed big time on this one because I predicted the Eagles to be one of the best teams, to win the NFC East, to potentially compete for, home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. Said all these nice things about them, ranked everybody nicely in fantasy, and then it was just like I would never draft Miles Sanders, and I followed through on it, and now I regret it because Miles Sanders was going like the 8th, 9th round, and he would have been perfect to fill in for the busts or the injuries.
Absolute gold. Yeah. And, I got so much smoke on saying that Miles Sanders was a league winner on TikTok back 2.5 months ago. So I'm going to be making a TikTok very soon, just calling all those people. And by the way, that TikTok has about 45,000 views. So about 45,000 people are going to see that shit. Nevertheless, what's up? The Patrick Haas one. Got some issues. I'm conflicted on my running backs, and I'm tuning in late. It's all good, baby. I'll run through what we've got so far. So this is for week 5, 1 through 20. At 1, Saquon, King Henry, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, James Robinson. That's the top 5. 6 through 10, CMC, Fournette, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara. 11 through 15, Najee, Ramondre, Jeff Wilson, Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall. And then we just covered 16 through 20, Miles Sanders, J.K. Dobbins, Josh Jacobs, Melvin Gordon, and Khalil Herbert. Throw your questions in the chat, waiver wire or not. We got you. We will help you out. Let's get you out of that hole and get you to fantasy greatness because, fantasy is life. It's a vibe. So 21 through 25, Travis Etienne playing the Texans. I think he could potentially eat 2. James Conner just keeps going down and down on my my drafts, or not my draft, my rankings board, because I didn't draft him anywhere because I had a feeling this was going to happen. Ezekiel Elliott 23, Gibby at 24, and then Singletary at 25. Devin Singletary may well be moved up to the top 15 because he is getting kind of the same play as he's like not even poor. He's really just a homeless man's CMC. But nevertheless, he's garnishing a lot of targets, and they are running the ball a bit because their offense is kind of in limbo right now. They're playing some tough teams, so we'll see what happens going forward. But what do you think about these older running backs falling so far, like Zeke and James Conner?
It feels appropriate. I wouldn't have disagreed with you if you would have had Etienne outside of your top 30 either, because he really hasn't given you any reason to continue to put him here at 21. But I do like this is kind of the last week. You got to get it done. And maybe it's not even him. Like, how about we get him the ball more in the passing game or whatever's going on? The Jaguars are 2-2, and I think that's better than a lot of us as fans thought they would be. And so if it's working, for the most part, I don't think they're necessarily going to shift it up too much. It's just that he's so dynamic. I think he could add a little bit to the offense. The Singletary take too, another guy I just was not going to draft. I just wasn't going to. And now I feel that regret where it's like you said all these great things about the Bills and the offense, but yet for some reason I didn't want to get the running back that ends up with 160, 170 fantasy points at the end of the year. Instead, I wanted to draft, never mind. It doesn't matter. Idiots.
Wait. Idiots? Like ACL idiots?
No. Just drafting rookies, overdrafting, I'll just wait and I'll grab these guys that are.
We've come to the overdrafted portion of the running back room, and that's A.J. Dillon, Kareem Hunt, Tony Pollard, and Michael Carter. All been pretty damn disappointing this year so far. Tony Pollard had one good game. They've been moving down the rankings more and more.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt, I think, is going to have a nice week because it's the one area to attack the Chargers. It remains that way. And really, if you look at it, it's like one big play a week. You had the big run by Dameon Pierce last week, James Robinson the week before that. Week 1, it was Josh Jacobs was able to run effectively. They just didn't use him. Like, that's just the Raiders being stupid. And then even CEH had success. So, like, I think it is the one area where the Browns can really have success.
Yeah.
And we saw the Browns offense take a real hit. They got figured out. They got, as I would say.
Yeah,
like,
they did.
All the lateral stuff, all the drag routes, Atlanta just shut that stuff down. They started trying to force them vertical, and Amari Cooper couldn't get there, and the timing and the separation downfield throws, vertical throws with Jacoby Brissett, that's not where you're making your money. So they're going to have to get back to this screen game, I think, a little bit this week and try and catch the Chargers off guard with that. I hope they fail miserably, and I hope next week you don't even put Kareem Hunt in your top 25.
Sounds like a plan. If you haven't already, hit that hit that like, hit that subscribe, because you know what it is. Fantasy is life. You know it's a vibe, and we do this for the people, baby. I have a 0 RB build. I have Hurts, Diggs, Jefferson, AJ Brown, and Pitts. My RBs are Etienne, CEH, Dobbins, Hunt, and Edmonds. My current starters are Dobbins, CEH, and Hunt. I'm assuming what
am I supposed to do? Or what
I'm debating is Hunt or Edmonds, but it sounds like y'all have Etienne above both. Yeah, I mean, it's CEH has been a big surprise, definitely a product of his system, and it's just a little strange to see what he's been able to do in Kansas City. But you can't trust anyone on the Kansas City Chiefs except for probably Travis Kelce, and then even at that point, it's a little hard. So, going forward, I would wait for a big week from, let me get back to the team. I would wait for a big week, another big week from either Dobbins or even Hunt, and try to flip them. But I mean, I wouldn't panic too much because your wide receiver core is pretty elite. Or you could even look at trading Pitts, because it looks like it doesn't matter how talented you are. It still takes you about 4 years if you're a tight end to get used to the NFL.
Yeah, and I'm going to disagree with him a little bit. I have been and will always be a CEH supporter. Take a lot of flack for that. That's fine. Again, with my theory of not drafting Miles Sanders or Devin Singletary, I do draft CEH because of that. You're going to be in the red zone a lot, and you're going to be in a situation where good things can happen to you. And so he's going to score points, and you were getting him at such a good value. I actually think if you're going to sell somebody, try and sell CEH after this last 2 touchdown performance. I think he's like top 5 in fantasy scoring right now. Go see if
That's
somebody.
Ridiculous.
I think he is.
I'm sure. No, I'm sure you're right. It's just absolutely redonkulous.
Yeah, I think right now you could maybe go out and try and get somebody that might be worried, but you could get maybe like a Joe Mixon or some maybe somebody like that where maybe they're a little panicked on one of those players up towards the top. Maybe Aaron Jones. Although again, there's another committee situation there. Just look around at your league. Who's a little desperate and might need CEH, and maybe you could get more of a running back that'll be on the come up that you'll feel better about. But honestly, I think you should sit tight with this team because it feels pretty strong. If anything, I might trade Kyle Pitts for Tyler Conklin. Kyle Pitts he's making me miserable this year.
Dog shit. Absolute dog shit. But I do have a question. Is it 2 flex or 1 flex? Because there's no reason why Kareem Hunt should be starting over AJ Brown in your flex. Just a question. Throw it in the chat, and we'll get to solving this conundrum. What's up, guys? Would you trade Naji for Kamara in PPR? I think you can get more than just Kamara for Naji, but I do like the buy low on Kamara this week. So I would I would look at that. I'm rolling with CEH with his touchdowns. He scored over 10 points. In week 2, he didn't score a TD, but he had over 120 all-purpose yards. I like the sell option too. Who would your starters, be this week? Well, actually, because you have so many wide receivers, okay, so 2 flex. Okay, that makes sense. Speaking of wide receivers, that brings us to the wide receiver stack where we are ranking all of the wide receivers for this upcoming week. So at number 1, Cooper Kupp playing the Cowboys. The Cowboys are pretty good for fantasy purposes, but they do give up a lot of all-purpose yards and touchdowns. Justin Jefferson at 2 playing the Bears. Tyreek, the Cheetah Hill playing the Jets at 3. Stephon Diggs at 4. And then Debo, the I'm him, I'm him, Samuel playing the Panthers. What do we think about this top 5 there, Tone?
It feels great. Like, I think those are best matchups, guaranteed targets in that area. And then, I mean, as I can see the rest of the list, like, really it could be a tier from pretty much 8 on up. Like, I'd feel great about all those. So I think he nailed it.
And then 6 through 10 is going to be Devonte Adams, AJ Brown, Mike Evans, Cortland Sutton, and T. Higgins. Rest of the season, who you taking, T. Higgins or Jamar Chase?
I'm a huge T. Higgins supporter and always have been. I always say T. Higgins is the better wide receiver. So I'm an idiot, but we'll see how it plays out with their time together.
Well, not so far, because T. Higgins is the wide receiver 22 this year, and Jamar Chase is T. Higgins is the wide receiver like 11 this year, and Jamar Chase is the wide receiver 29. There was a big stink about trading A.J. Brown and James Cook for Jamar Chase in my followers league, and I got like messages about it, and I boiled it down. I'm like, look, the fact of the matter is that I play survival of the fittest. I don't care who trades what. As long as it's not obvious collusion, then I don't care. It's not my issue. You got to be the best that you can be. And if you can't handle that, then kick rocks.
Exactly.
So, going forward, and A.J. Brown's wide receiver 22, Jamar Chase wide receiver 29. Doesn't matter about draft capital anymore. We're in week 5. Like me, and this is myself included, need to get over where you drafted people and dropping them or not. Going to number 11, we got CeeDee Lamb, and then Michael Pittman, then DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, and then Jamar Chase at 15. And I did make a mistake and put Jalen Waddle in the opponent's side, and I think you can squeeze Jalen Waddle in there somewhere as well because they're playing the Jets and should be quite the shootout if it is anything.
Yeah. With this next group here, I'm really only worried about Pittman and having to deal with Patrick Surtain Jr. and the fact that Matt Ryan is just struggling the way he is. I actually took Pittman out of a dynasty roster I have and put in Mike Williams. And I'm thinking about removing him in another league for Chris Olave. But lastly, I'll just say this. I was very encouraged about DK Metcalf last week. Now he's going to get Marshawn Lattimore this week, which kind of sucks, but I was very encouraged. Like, if you drafted him and you were really kind of panicking, like, I was getting some crazy DK offers that I now wish I would have taken. Like, people were trying to sell DK to me really cheap, and I was just like, I don't know. This feels, I'd rather keep some of these players that you're trying to get from me. And now I look at it and I'm like, Treylon Burks for DK Metcalf? I don't know. Maybe I want DK.
Yeah. So let's go back to the Pacheco one. Who should his starters be this week? I mean, I think we've already kind of spelled it out. A.J. Brown at your flex and Kareem Hunt. Just got to roll with them.
Yeah, those 2 flex spots should be A.J. Brown. If you are like me and you think Travis Etienne could maybe get some more garbage time or like, hey, we're up type looks against the Texans late in the game, maybe you roll with him over Kareem Hunt. But honestly, Kareem Hunt versus the Chargers, he crushed them last year.
Yeah.
I don't know why this year would be like any different. Like him maybe not crushing him, but he's going to get 15 targets and touches.
Moving on to 16 through 20, we've got Jamar Chase, Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, and Mike Williams. There's been a lot of mix-up just from week to week with all these wide receivers, so they could be in tandem with another. Jamar Chase has been kind of figured out in my book with watching tape on him. And remember, they just every big run that he had is yards after catch. They were like just blown coverage or like teams that couldn't tackle for shit. So that's why I really like T. Higgins over Jamar Chase. Jerry Jeudy, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot more, like I said, with Cortland Sutton. Amari Cooper, bounce back game against the Chargers, but it's going to be tough because he's going against Derwin James and Tony Tucker. And then Christian Kirk at 19, Mike Williams. It all depends on Keenan Allen if he's out, because the out ones right now are Keenan Allen, Amon-Ra, and Michael Thomas. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think these guys may be interchangeable. How do we feel about Christian Kirk against Houston? A bounce back week this week?
I feel great about it. I'm actually going to put in a couple trade offers tomorrow for Christian Kirk. Maybe see if these people are, didn't watch the game, don't know that it was bad weather and a tough defense. Because I just think opportunity is going to be there for him all year. Like It just feels 7 to 10 targets every week out of the slot. Feels very comforting to me to have Christian Kirk on my roster. In this area, I wouldn't necessarily worry about Mike Williams. The thing that we can worry about with Mike is, are they going to continue the usage they had? They ran a lot of slants, a lot of drag routes. Those are good catches that you can get to Mike. And if they're using him in that fashion, then Mike doesn't have to be the boomer bust player he's been. He can be somebody that's getting you 14 points a week if the targets are more appropriate. So I like it. This all feels good. Amari Cooper, J.C. Jackson, I don't know. That could be a tough – it could be 2 bad Amari Cooper games in a row, and then all of a sudden you might be able to be buying Amari Cooper going into a bye week pretty cheap.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. So this is the land of the rookies in the second years. At 21, we got Chris Olave playing the Seahawks, Jalen Waddle against the Jets, Romeo Doubs against the Giants. He could be a top 15 wide receiver this week. He scored a touchdown in 2 straight weeks. It looked bleak towards the middle of the third quarter this past week, but he was saved in the game-winning drive and the touchdown. So Romeo Doubs playing against the Giants, he should be rostered everywhere. Hollywood Brown playing the Eagles, and Curtis Samuel playing the Titans. Except for Hollywood Brown, all pretty good matchups for all of these stud wide receivers.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, like you said about Doubs, I put Doubs in a lineup this week, and I'm just sort of putting it there. Like, I don't know if anybody else does this, but sometimes I'll put a player in a lineup and just see how it feels throughout the week. I'll do it early on. I'll set him in there. Like, how do I, am I really going to do this? Am I really going to play him over DJ Moore this week in this spot? And it's like, yeah.
Maybe.
tough matchup for DJ Moore, the Panthers in general. So
you mean DJ Mayfield?
Yeah.
It's not DJ Moore anymore. It's DJ Mayfield. Ridiculous.
Patrick did have a comment. I don't know if you answered, and I just wasn't paying attention. He put, no faith in Edmonds versus the Jets. It's not that I love Chase Edmonds as the player, but they seem to like Raheem Mostert more.
They do.
He's just getting more work, and Edmonds has been.
And he looks more explosive too.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, if Raheem Mostert scored a touchdown last week, he'd have over 15 points, and as your flex, that's pretty good. But yeah, Dobbins and CEH is my RB1 and RB2. Yep, that's what I would be rolling with this week. And I do like Tony Tucker's take on CEH going forward with selling him super, super duper high. And speaking of people that you may want to sell a little high, but not really, Brandon Cooks, Jaguars, playing the Jaguars. He should eat again this week. Terry McLaurin playing the Titans. Elijah Moore playing the Dolphins. I predict his first touchdown of the year comes against that Dolphins secondary. Deontay Johnson playing the Bills. He's going to have even a tougher matchup than he did last week, even though the matchup wasn't that tough. And then Gabe Davis playing the Steelers. What do we think about these first 4-round wide receivers, except for Elijah Moore, that aren't really living up to the hype?
Well, so we had to know Bateman was going to be a little bit like this, right? Just because of the nature of the Ravens offense and being so run heavy. And if it's pass, it's very Mark Andrews centric. The one player I think that might be in store for a little bit more and maybe even red zone is Terry McLaurin, because with Jahan Dotson, missing some time with the hamstring, that should allow for McLaurin to maybe have a couple of really big weeks here. And the Brandon Cooks thing, like you said, selling high, I just don't think Brandon Cooks gets people excited enough, right? Like it needs to, you need to be, it's almost like fantasy predators go after Brandon Cooks, later in the season, they're like, this idiot doesn't even know what he has. And they offer him, like a Kadarius Toney coming off injury, and the other person's like, I like him. He's exciting. I'll trade him for Brandon Cooks. And it's like, terrible idea, buddy.
Yeah. Dark Wolf 115. I got a trade offer for Metcalf, Dobbins, in London for Thomas, Kamara, and Duvernay. I am 3-1. Thoughts on the offer for Metcalf, Dobbins, and London? No. Like, you have Thomas, Kamara, and Duvernay?
No, I think.
I guess I'm.
Wait, I was reading it the other way. I got a trade offer for, so that's on his team.
Okay.
That's the way I read it. Which one do you have, Dark Wolf?
Yeah, throw it in the comments which one you have. But if you have the first set, definitely not. I mean, Michael Thomas is injured. Kamara, we don't know what's going to happen yet, but I do like him going forward. And Duvernay, whatever. I mean, you're trading away a very okay, he does have the Metcalf side. So you're trading away basically a well-balanced three players for the Saints and the Mike Williams of the Ravens.
And the thing with Duvernay is he's way exceeding expectations, scoring touchdowns on 2 targets a game. That's not reliable. And then you have Michael Thomas, who came back. We don't know the nature of this foot injury yet.
Yeah.
And Alvin Kamara is not being used in the pass game. J.K. Dobbins is on the rise right now. This person's coming to you and saying whatever. We just saw what Metcalf did with a tummy full of mom's pot roast. So roll with your guys. 3-1.
Do not make that trade. Yeah. There's a reason why you're 3-1. Don't change it up. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You heard? Going forward, Rashad Bateman playing the Bengals at 31. Garrett Wilson playing the Dolphins. Drake London playing the Bucks. You'll probably have another lackluster game. I'd probably sit him this game, unfortunately. Devonta Smith playing the Cardinals. I think Devonta could move up a bit. Corey Davis comes into the mix, and Robert Woods against the Commanders could move up as well, being the wide receiver one without Treylon Burks in the mix as well. Just having to worry about little old Chester Rogers, and that one other guy that is a rookie, Kyle Phillips.
Yep. Corey Davis feels like somebody that people might want to think about sticking on the end of their roster. If you if you have a big week 6 bye, I don't know when the Jets bye is, but if it
10.
coincides where you have some big bye weeks coming up, Corey Davis might be somebody that I think you could feel pretty good about. He's had 3 out of 4 solid weeks, and Wilson's first week back, he put up some numbers. So
So that brings us to an end of wide receivers, and now we are going to our tight end stacking them tight ends, baby. At 1, Mark Andrews playing the Bengals. Last week was just an anomaly. Playing the Bills, tough defense. Lamar Jackson didn't look like himself. Travis Kelce at 2 playing the Raiders. They're basically interchangeable. I still have Darren Waller at 3, even though it was a bad game last week. Playing the Chiefs defense, I think he squeaks in a touchdown or 2. Dallas Goedert at 4 playing the Cardinals, and Gerald Everett, the God among men, playing the I didn't write that. Who are the Chargers playing again?
Cleveland.
The Browns. Okay, cool. So Gerald Everett at 5. What do you think about mixing up this top 5? I think maybe if Darren Waller doesn't perform this week again and Njoku has a good game, we might be seeing Njoku in top 5. What do we think about these newcomers?
I like it because it's pretty much based on either talent, opportunity, or consistency, right?
Yeah.
Like we got all the 3 things that we really like, and all of them, for the most part, have had at least 1 or 2 good games.
Mm-hmm.
As to where we cannot say that for Kyle Pitts. We can't say that for George Kittle. Zach Ertz. I don't have any Zach Ertz, so I'm not really sure, but I don't think he's been lighting the world on fire.
He did score 16.5 points last week.
Okay.
So that's a pretty good game.
Yeah, it's a great game.
But yeah, I mean, that kind of brings in that, but he's like, I don't know. He's super wishy-washy. I don't trust anyone in the receiving vicinity until DeAndre Hopkins come back and we see what he does. Mixon or Fournette? What's up, Jonathan Vera? How we doing? How we feeling? How we living? Who are you going with? I guess rest of the season or this week? Probably this week. I still go Mixon. Not giving up on him yet.
I think he's coming off his best game of the year. I mean, I don't know.
Rest of the season?
Rest of season. Whew. I don't know. It's really close. I guess
I'd go Mixon.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mixon, but it's really close. I could make a nice argument for Leonard Fournette. I just want to say this. I think Tyler Higbee could be the guy that ends up in your top 5.
I mean, he's averaging like 10 or 12 targets a game. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And Jonathan, you're new here. Thanks for stopping by. We are here at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Tuesday. So keep on coming back and hit that like, hit that subscribe. And anyone else in the chat, if you're new here, come on and hang with us. And so, going through the latter part of the top 10, TJ Hawkinson playing the Patriots, David Njoku, Tyler Conklin, and then Tyler Higbee at 9 and George Kittle at 10. And I really he's like the wide receiver 2 on the Rams, Tyler Higbee. It's crazy.
It's not like he's pretty much like the wide receiver 1 on some teams in the NFL because of the passing volume of the Rams. Like he's averaging 9 targets a game, and there's some wide receiver 1s that aren't averaging 9 targets a game. This just goes to show that Sean McVay is kind of having a little bit of a love fest with himself, and he's trying to force an offense to work a certain way with an offensive line that needs help to get the running game going. It's the same thing. A lot of these teams, you want to pass. You cannot pass effectively without any threat of a run game.
Yeah.
That's just it.
100%. It doesn't work. It don't work. And it is broke, so fix it. I'm going to shoot through the rest of these tight ends, and then we'll hit waiver wire for the last 10 minutes. At 11, Kyle Pitts dropping like flies down the list. Zach Ertz at 12, Dawson Knox at 13, Pat Freiermuth 14, Irv Smith Jr., Dalton Schultz at 16, just because he had 0 points last week and is still dealing with that nagging injury. That's why he's so low. 17, Logan Thomas, 18, Robert Tonyan, 19, Evan Ingram, and 20. Rounding out the top 20 is Hayden Hurst. Anyone that stands out to have a good week this week that could move up, and then we'll go to waiver wire.
Hayden Hurst. It's one of those games where it's ugly. It's just kind of like, oh no, what's this? It's a broken play. There's Hayden Hurst, catches the ball, 45-yard touchdown. Like, it won't be pretty. It's not going to be schemed for Hayden Hurst to have some magnificent game, but just with the way that they've been defending the pass, I would take a shot at starting Hayden Hurst down here. I don't know, maybe Dawson Knox too against the Steelers. Haven't really like impressed me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So waiver wire, who is your number one waiver wire this week to make an immediate impact, I guess?
So immediate impact, why? Like, if you need somebody this week for me, and you're like, if you're in my situation and you lost Javonte Williams and you don't have somebody that you really like or think that you need to put in, the person that I'm going out to get is Raheem Moster, right? Like, I think he's still like pretty available. He's still available in quite a few leagues, but just going with like where there's a big kind of portion of them. Mm-hmm. I do like Mike Boone better than I'm hearing people talk about him or read about him. Like, Mike Boone is effective when he gets carries. I don't really necessarily like this idea where it's like, well, he has such special teams value. You know what else has value? Winning games offensively. And your offense is struggling, and Melvin Gordon's fumbling the football, and Latavius Murray was on a practice squad for a reason. And when Mike Boone gets carries, he's an effective runner. So although like you could get snake bitten, you could waste your fab, you could waste your waiver order priority on Mike Boone. I'm taking a shot on Mike Boone getting into this offense to where he becomes sort of the goal line back, and he becomes a little bit more. I know he had the bad drops out there, but I just think that,
I mean, they could be nerves. He's only in his second year and hasn't had much playing time, so I totally understand that aspect of it.
I like him. I like Algier, Mostert. As far as like wide receivers go, we talked about this. You said the George
Pickens, baby. Pickens, Mr.
If he's out there, exactly. If he's out there, get it. I want to give a quick little bit of love to Josh Reynolds. If Amon-Ra's out again, and I don't know if that's the case, I just think he has a really good connection with Jared Goff that I would give Josh Reynolds a look.
It seems like that offense just has a great bunch of chemistry no matter who they plug in. I mean, next week it'll be Khalif Raymond because they won't have anyone, and he'll score 3 touchdowns and 275 yards, and then he'll throw a touchdown too. It's just like that. It's weird how Hard Knocks, like, it's kind of just it's either a conspiracy or they really come together.
No, they did, and I think that for the most part, right now, they like playing with and for Dan Campbell. Like, they really enjoy
100%.
I think
wouldn't
at
you?
Some point,
wouldn't you like to play for Dan Campbell?
After a while, I think it would get a little annoying. I'd be like, can we focus a little more on the X's and O's and a little less on the, rah-rah bullshit? 2 more players I want to mention, and I'll do it briefly. I already did mention Corey Davis. Again, this is more of like, hey, we're looking ahead towards buys. You might not plug him in into your lineup right away. And another guy, Isaiah Pacheco. I think they really love him. And you're one CEH injury away from Isaiah Pacheco coming in and not relinquishing the role to CEH. Like, he just comes in and he's so dynamic and so physical that he would bring a new element to this offense. And the only reason I think that Andy Reid hasn't like gone more in that direction is because he doesn't want to fully lose CEH mentally. Like, he doesn't want to say like, because they do need him. You need depth at running back. And so you can't fully phase somebody out. But slowly throughout this season, we're going to see Pacheco bring a physicality to this team that they haven't had since Kareem Hunt.
What's up, Kate and the Colts fan? Should I trade Jefferson for Chase and Fournette? No. I do not like Chase that much this season. Sophomore year slump, and Fournette, in my opinion, is a good running back, but I just would not. I would not trade away Justin Jefferson for that. If it was like Stephon Diggs and I'd say who's a good RB too. Stephon Diggs and a good RB too, but it's Jamar Chase is too risky, and I think you should just stick with Justin Jefferson. I mean, put in the chat what your record is, because I'm a little curious on why you're trying to flip Jefferson after such a great week. Maybe high value.
That's what I was going to say. I think people are in love with the idea of Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase is still going to have a lot of success in the league. Like, he's still going to have tons of big weeks, and they're going to find ways to scheme him open. He's too good. Burrow loves him too much. Mm-hmm. If your record's bad and you want to take a big shot, I don't hate this trade, though. A 2-for-1, and you're getting 2 starters. Like, you're getting somebody that's a high-volume running back, and you're getting a guy that could finish in the top 15 just based on opportunity with the Bengals. Like, I don't hate this trade if you're 1-3 and you're like, hey, I need a 2-for-1. I need 2 starters. I need a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, if you that's why I asked what his record was, because if he's winning, then if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if you're 1-3 and need a jump start, then hell yeah, take a chance. Why not? What's the worst that could happen? You're 1-4.
I mean, so just hypothetical, or not even hypothetical, a real life situation for me that's terrible. I'm 1-3 with Justin Jefferson because he had 2 bad weeks. I lost the Monday night game where he only scored 10 points or whatever it was by 0.7 points. And now I'm 1-3 and I have Justin Jefferson because I just played Cooper Kupp and the Raiders guy, Josh Jacobs, went for 40 against me. So it's like, I just had 2, even though I got 31 from Jefferson, it didn't make a difference. Like I might have to look at a shot where it's like a 2-for-1. And if somebody gave me that in return at 1-3, I might do it.
Dark Wolf 115. My team consists of Lamar, Jamal Williams, Barkley, Kupp, London, Flex, Olave, Kittle, bench Madison, Metcalf, Lockett, Dobbins, Hurst, Dotson. Any recommendations to the team? Well, I think you throw Dobbins in there this week playing the Bengals, and bench Jamal Williams. I love the Olave. Sit London, play Metcalf. And then put Dotson on the hurt or the out or whatever, if he's going to be on the IR or whatever, and pick up someone that we've mentioned if you're higher in the waiver wire opportunity. And okay, so here we go. We got some context here. Thinking of dropping Mostert. Like Tony was just talking about, I would probably pump your brakes on that. The Colts fan, I was 1-2, traded Kupp for Jefferson, Goddard, and Godwin. 1 this week, my team is Lamar, Kamara, Wilson Jr., Jefferson, Evans, Goddard, and Godwin with Penny, Moore, and London on the bench. Let's see. I probably wouldn't.
I would try to move one of these Bucs wide receivers, and Mike Evans at this point might get you more in return. Again, targeting players that are slow, or if you get a little bit of news that Jonathan
and he
Taylor,
lost Javonte Williams too.
Yeah,
12-man PPR, needed better RB2.
I lost Javonte too as my RB2 in 4 leagues, and I am trying to figure it out. Again, in 2 of these leagues, my RB3 was Elijah Mitchell. So you can only imagine how those seasons are going for me. It's a lot. It's a very big uphill battle with me right now. Where on one roster, I am down to 2 healthy running backs. It is 3, I guess, if you want to throw in Kenny Walker. He's technically playing football somewhere.
Should I flip Evans for Chase? I would do that.
I would do that because you can get some upside and you get a little bit of diversity in there. Like starting 2 wide receivers from the same team.
He also has Mitchell on the bench. Did you guys draft the same teams together or something?
Apparently.
I would do Evans for Chase. I would do that, and then because you have depth. Believe it or not, you do have depth. I mean, Olave's coming on strong. DK's really pulling it together. Let's see. And then, Jeff Wilson will be there until Elijah Mitchell comes back. So, I do like that trade. And, and then you have Jefferson and Chase, and you could be winning by 100 points soon.
Yeah, and again, like maybe Mike Evans and is this the one who said they had Mostert? Like maybe Mike Evans and Mostert.
No, that's a different one.
Okay, so Mike Evans and, I don't know, Rashad Penny for Jonathan Taylor, and then see if they have another wide receiver that they could throw in that they're not an Adam Thielen type.
Yeah.
That might be just somebody on your bench.
100%. And he decided to take Wilson Jr. because injury prone, great handcuff, great thinking. And what's up, Tamian? How we doing? How we feeling? We living? Is Saquon a must keep? Yes. I mean, he's the only option on that offense. He's the most opportunity. He was playing quarterback last week. I mean, it's
yes. Right until the wheels fall off.
What's up, Anton Montez? I have Russ, CMC, Damian Pierce, Lamb, Waddle, Andrews, London, Bench, Godwin, Dobbins, Dobbs, Michael Carter, Kenneth Walker, White, Jameson, Williams. Where could I look to add? Why don't you trade away CMC for Saquon Barkley? That's about it. I mean, I would try and flip CMC. I like everything else. I mean, Dobbins, you could throw in there. You could even throw in CMC for like a higher tier wide receiver no, I'd probably try and get a different running back. But other than that, I really like your team.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, the guys who have Hurts and Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, like maybe there's a way where you say like, hey, like let's do a blockbuster and I'll give you Russ and CMC for, Josh Allen and then you get another running back in that scenario, like, like an Aaron Jones type or somebody in that neighborhood where they're a little frustrated with that player, but you can see the upside with them. And then you have an elite QB. Unless you believe in Russ, you think this is sustainable.
And if you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe. You know what it is. Fantasy is life. You know it's a vibe. We are coming towards an end of this cast. We stayed a little longer to answer these questions, but I do have a weird take this week. Listen up and listen closely. Come here. If you don't need to, wait for your waiver wire pickups and move up the ladder this week. I think this is a week where you move up the ladder and take your team because it's not panic mode yet. It's not like win now yet. So, and all of these guys, they're kind of hit or miss, except for George Pickens. If George Pickens is available on your roster, he is a guy, in your league, he is a guy you need to go out and get and waste a waiver wire pick on him. But other than that, I'd pump the brakes and hold on this week, even though like I put out content on people that you may need to draft. But other than that, I would definitely pump the brakes and just move up the waiver wire because there's going to be so many more injuries because the NFL and the NFLPA don't give a shit about these players and they're just putting turf everywhere and they really need to pull all that shit up. But before going on that tangent, we'll answer these questions and then we got to get out of here. But Barkley, Mixon, Dylan, Penny, wide receiver Godwin, Thielen, Samuel, Duvernay, and Juju.
His question is next, and here's what I would do. I don't think this person is going to like Juju in the trade for JT and St. Brown, but I do think you could go Barkley and Godwin for JT and St. Brown. I don't know why you'd want to pivot from Barkley to JT when we don't know how serious this ankle injury is.
Oh, okay. They offered this. Yeah, don't do it. Do not do that.
Yeah, don't do that trade. Don't. Yeah.
No. It's like, the value of it is great, but the uncertainty is just too massive to give up. He's the number one running back in the league right now. Like, and we just said he was playing quarterback last week. He is that whole offense, and he is strong enough to hold up that whole offense. So, they're going to be coming for your throats with Barkley and trying to get him which way they can. But just hold and become fantasy greatness.
I will say this: it's really close. And if we find out that JT is going to play on Thursday night, I might pull the trigger on this deal for 2 reasons.
So he shouldn't reject it yet.
I wouldn't reject it. I would wait and get a little more news on JT first. Like, just let's find out does he have a limited practice today, or like tomorrow? Is he going through walkthroughs? Would they give him an estimated limited practice tomorrow, whatever that BS they use? Because the difference between St. Brown and Juju is wide
massive.
receiver 3 and wide receiver 30. The difference
40.
between Barkley and JT, exactly. I was trying to be nice, Juju, just because I love the TikTok dancing. But the difference between Barkley and JT at the end of the year, I think, is going to be much closer. I think it might be like top 3 versus top 8 to 10. Like, that's the only reason why I would say that this trade, to me, if I know he's not going to have like a high ankle sprain, turf toe situation where he's going to miss 3 to 4 weeks, I might pull the trigger on that trade.
What's up, Nick Poppich? Hit that like and subscribe if you're new. Lamar, CMC, Lenny, Jamar, CD, Kelsey, Godwin, Judy, Jacoby Myers, Isaiah McKenzie, Dobbs, Rashad White, Jameson Williams, Chip winning team, 10-man PPR. I'm 4-0 right now. Yeah.
Just here to brag. Just here to
I respect it.
Just dunking on me. I appreciate it. I'm 4-0 in 0 leagues. Is this just the end where I cry now? We just leave with me in the fetal position sobbing? People just bragging?
So fetal position optional, but that does it for Stacking the Studs. Come hang out with us every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You know what it is. As the code reads underneath, fantasy is life. You know it's a vibe. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that plus, hit that follow, if you don't mind, and keep coming back every week. You know what it is. And hope you all win. Also, Instagram, hit us up, questions and all that.